Back in the 1980s, stopping at the neighborhood McDonald's could feel like a special occasion. Beneath the glowing golden arches, everything seemed brighter, louder, and more exciting, perfectly matching an era of oversized hair and neon fashion. Today, we are revisiting 10 unforgettable McDonald's memories that helped define fast food during that colorful decade again. For children growing up in the 1980s, few moments matched the excitement of lifting the lid on a colorful Happy Meal. Among the most memorable surprises were the Changeables, introduced in 1987. At first glance, each chunky plastic figure looked like an ordinary McDonald's item, such as a carton of fries, a hamburger, or a Happy Meal box. Then, after a few folds, turns, and snaps, the food transformed into a robot or even a dinosaur. The idea felt like McDonald's had created its own answer to Transformers, and playground collectors immediately wanted every version. A fries container becoming a tall mechanical character was just as thrilling as a meal box unfolding into a prehistoric creature. These toys turned an ordinary lunch into an event, and decades later, many nostalgic customers still ask McDonald's to revive the line in restaurants again. Chicken nuggets seem inseparable from fast food, yet McDonald's did not offer them nationwide until 1983. Once Chicken McNuggets reached restaurants nationwide, they reshaped quick meals for American families. Customers could order 6, 9, or 20 pieces, each wrapped in a crisp golden coating and sized perfectly for dipping. The sauces became part of the experience. Honey, sweet and sour, hot mustard, and barbecue each gave the same box a different personality. McNuggets were easy for children to hold, simple to share, and convenient enough for road trips or relaxed weekend dinners. Their arrival was more than another menu update. It became one of the chain's most successful product launches. For many people who grew up during the decade, that first box and those tiny sauce containers remain an unmistakable childhood memory. Before Chicken McNuggets became a nationwide sensation, McDonald's tested another bite-sized fried idea: onion nuggets. Tested through 1984, they offered a different approach from the onion rings at competing drive-thrus. The kitchen cut onions into small chunks, covered them with seasoned breading, and fried them until the exterior turned crisp. They arrived in a cardboard tray and gave customers a crunchy, savory substitute for the usual order of fries. Some diners became devoted to their unusual flavor, but the product never gained enough support to spread across the country. As more successful menu items demanded attention and space, onion nuggets disappeared. Even though the experiment did not last, it remains a fascinating reminder of how freely McDonald's tested new snacks during the 1980s, including one nugget concept that arrived before the chicken version conquered America. People who ate McDonald's fries decades ago insist that the flavor used to be richer, and the 1980s recipe explains why. The potatoes were cooked in an oil mixture made with 93% beef tallow. That fat produced a deep, savory taste with a meaty quality that customers found difficult to resist. The texture was equally memorable. Crisp edges surrounded a soft, airy center. In 1990, however, concern about saturated fat pushed the company to replace that cooking blend with vegetable oil. The change created the modern version of the fries, but many longtime customers believe something essential was lost. To them, today's recipe cannot reproduce the aroma, crunch, and full-bodied flavor of the original beef-tallow fries, which remain one of the strongest food memories associated with McDonald's in the 1980s. In the 1980s, McDonald's breakfast stretched a small budget remarkably far. A customer could walk to the counter with $5, order breakfast for $2, and still receive change. Early in the decade, an Egg McMuffin sold for $1.15. Crisp hash browns cost only 45 cents, while even a large coffee remained below 50 cents. Those prices allowed families to order hotcakes, scrambled eggs, pastries, and drinks without treating breakfast as an expense. Compared with what a similar order costs today, the old menu can still feel almost unreal. The food itself may trigger nostalgia, but the affordability is just as memorable. For anyone who remembers feeding several people with a few bills, those 1980s breakfast prices represent a version of fast food that felt both convenient and genuinely economical. Before elaborate coffeehouse pastries became part of the morning routine, McDonald's tried a bakery-style indulgence of its own. From 1982 through 1984, breakfast customers could order the caramel pecan roll. It was unusually decadent for fast food. The pastry arrived warm and soft, covered with a thick, sticky caramel glaze, and finished with a generous layer of crunchy pecans. Eating one could feel less like visiting a hamburger chain and more like buying something fresh from a neighborhood bakery. Hotcakes and the Egg McMuffin ultimately became the stronger breakfast staples, so the roll faded from the menu. Still, people who tasted it remember the combination of tender dough, sweet caramel, and toasted crunch. Paired with a cup of black coffee, it offered a sugary morning treat that some longtime fans still consider McDonald's finest breakfast pastry. Early in the 1980s, McDonald's still carried a sandwich designed to resemble a steakhouse meal. The chopped beefsteak sandwich had debuted in the late 1970s and remained available until 1982. Rather than using the round hamburger bun, the restaurant served it on a long, bakery-style roll. A seasoned chopped beef patty came beneath cooked onions and a coating of full-bodied, tangy steak sauce. The combination aimed to give customers a premium experience than the standard cheeseburger and fries order. It was an ambitious departure from the chain's safest formulas and showed a willingness to experiment with both presentation and flavor. The sandwich never became a permanent classic, but those who managed to try it often recall its distinctive taste. Today, it survives as one of the more unusual upscale ideas from McDonald's early menu history. Near the decade's end, McDonald's introduced a diner-style cheeseburger. The Cheddar Melt appeared in 1988 as a limited-time item and drew immediate attention. Instead of placing processed American cheese on a standard bun, the restaurant set the beef patty on toasted rye bread. Sweet grilled onions and a thick cheddar cheese sauce covered the meat, creating a rich combination of sharp, creamy, and savory flavors. The rye gave every bite a deeper taste, while the sauce made the sandwich deliciously messy. Customers who loved it did so intensely, and the Cheddar Melt developed a dedicated following. McDonald's later returned it for short promotional runs, but never restored it permanently. For fans, its brief appearances only strengthened the memory of a burger that felt more like an indulgent diner melt than ordinary fast food. The McDLT was a recognizable attempt to redesign the hamburger experience. Introduced in 1984, it addressed a complaint. Heat from the beef could wilt the lettuce and soften the tomato. McDonald's answered with a large, two-section foam clamshell. The hot half contained the bottom bun and freshly cooked patty, while the cool half held the top bun, lettuce, tomato, and cheese. Customers combined the two sides at the table, preserving the contrast between warm meat and crisp toppings. A memorable advertising jingle reinforced the entire idea by emphasizing separate hot and cool sections. The presentation made the finished burger seem especially fresh, but the package was bulky. As environmental concern about foam containers increased, the McDLT was discontinued permanently in 1990, ending one of McDonald's cleverest packaging experiments. After the McDLT popularized split packaging, McDonald's applied the same concept to grilled chicken. Available from 1986 to 1988, the Chicken L.T. targeted diners who wanted lighter lunches. The grilled chicken breast sandwich came in a double-sided foam container. One compartment kept the chicken hot, while the other protected the cool lettuce and tomato until assembly. The format gave the sandwich a presentation and supported the company's push toward a healthier-looking option. Even so, the Chicken L.T. could not match the demand for McDonald's traditional hamburgers. It disappeared quietly before the decade was over, leaving far less cultural impact than its beef relative. Still, the product anticipated the importance grilled chicken sandwiches would later gain on fast food menus, making it an interesting bridge between 1980s experimentation and the choices customers recognize today. Which of these 1980s McDonald's memories would you most like to experience again? Share your favorite in the comments, then subscribe for more nostalgic journeys through classic food and places from the past.